start. What's packing, everybody? I am your host, Godchild, first of his name. Welcome back to my show. We cover the Green Bay Packers here 24/7, and every now and then we might dabble in some other NFL, interesting topics, or I might find something that's happening in the NFL and bring it back to the pack. But for the most part, man, that's what we doing. We doing Green Bay Packers all day. If you have not yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I'm dropping new content. Like the channel if you are a fan. Please give me those thumbs up. And last but not least, comment. Drop some comments down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you react to the video, or just any suggestions. I greatly appreciate it. Today I'm just talking about the 2019 draft class. I mean, what a difference a year makes. It's been only 2 years since LaFleur has been here, but it feels like longer than that. And I can't even believe that some of these guys that were drafted last year are already in their second year, and they're already starting to really kind of show dividends, especially in the last couple of weeks. And that's why I wanted to talk about this, because I don't even really remember how I felt all the way about the draft class. I feel like Green Bay, they got probably a B or something like that from all of the pundits and the talking heads and the analysts and things like that. Me personally, I was excited, especially because it was our first draft class with Gutekunst and LaFleur, and I just wanted to see how they would be different, maybe, from Ted Thompson and that old regime. And I wasn't disappointed. I was very excited. They got Gary in the first round. Then they picked up Darnell Savage. They had 2 first-round draft picks. Savage is a Maryland kid, and I'm from Maryland, so I was happy about that. Elton Jenkins from Mississippi State in the second round. Jay Sternberger in the third. Kingsley Keke in the fifth from Texas A&M. I didn't even realize that just now that Sternberger and Keke were on the same A&M team. Kadar Holman, Dexter Williams, and Todd Summers. Now, the interesting thing about this draft is Gary was seen as a project. I remember specifically, personally, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to cap for y'all. I was a little put off by the Gary pick. I felt like he hadn't lived up to his potential as a first, he was like a 5-star recruit, like the number one high school player in the entire country, offense, defense, whatever. He was the number 1 graded player. And I feel like he didn't kind of live up to that. People question his motor, people question his love for the game, people question all kinds of things, which is it's effed up to question that. I mean, it's hard to know what's going on inside of a college football program, what's going on with these kids. I mean, they are kids, and then they have all this weight and responsibility on their shoulders. But I feel like probably that year I was hoping that they would have gone more like offensive line, or maybe just offensive weapon, receiver, a tight end for Rodgers in the first round. I can't even remember who came out that year. But Gary's first year, I remember it was underwhelming, kind of like his career at Michigan. They also brought in Zadarius and Preston, which didn't really seem to make sense to me at that time. Like, why would you draft this guy 12th overall and then pay all this money, over $100 million in money, to 2 guys to have them come in and play at the position this new kid is supposed to be at, who needs snaps and needs time to get used to a new position, because Gary played with his hand in the dirt at Michigan. He was like an edge DN, like a DeForest Buckner kind of, or a JJ Watt. He was like a DN, an edge guy, and so it just didn't make sense to me. But this year, I mean, we've seen maybe what they had in mind with Gary and Preston and Z all on the field. I don't think that package itself has done as well or has been as effective as they probably hoped, or as when you think in your mind. That sounds like a very effective package. Like, all those big dudes on the line or standing up or moving around, they can all rush the passer. They're all big, strong, long-armed guys that weigh 250 and above. So you would think they would be good in the running game. Preston Smith, that is, he struggles with the outside contain. And I think putting Gary in over Preston is smart. And I feel like I'm spending most of my time talking about Gary. So I'm going to move on to the next guy, which is Darnell Savage. And I was most excited for Darnell Savage because we needed a playmaking safety. And actually, now I think about it, I really wanted them to draft a playmaking safety. They picked up Adrian Amos. We had let HaHa go, and he had been a joke. really. The joke was on us because he didn't play well at all. But when you looked at when you looked at Savage's tape, it was like, man, this kid, he's a ball hawk. He's always around the ball. He's smart. He's fast. He seemed like the perfect prototype, safety for that position. But he had a rough first year. He did get his hands on 2 interceptions, and so far this year, and so like he projected well, and I think a lot of people were excited about him. But then like the first part of this year, he hadn't really made any plays. If anything, I would say he was on the wrong end of big plays, and I was starting to question the pick. Now in the last 2 weeks, he's had an interception against Philly, and he had 2 interceptions against Chicago. And it's like if Savage is finally turning the page, and if he's finally like learning to not just react, even though defense is about reaction, but Coach LaFleur even said so in his press conference that Savage is one of those players that just plays with a lot of instinct. He's always like going 100 miles per hour. And sometimes I feel like on defense, it is about reaction, but you need to like know what you're reacting, and you can't always just let your instincts take over, because sometimes those instincts, while they may be right, it may not be right for that situation, and you could mess up. The communication can be off. I think there's a lot of different things that can go into it, but if Savage and Gary are like literally turning the corner and turning the page to their dominancy, and they come to life down the stretch, I think we could be looking at one of the best draft class in recent memory, especially when you throw in the fact that Kingsley Keke, a late round third day guy, a 5th round draft pick, he had some production last week. I want to say he had 2 sacks. How many sacks did he have last week in Philly? He had 2 sacks, 3 solo tackles, an assist, and 2 tackles for a loss, 2 quarterback hits. I mean, that is dominant. And he only played 39% of the defensive snaps. And to get that kind of production on 39% of the snaps, I mean, that's scary good. And if these three dudes, I mean, like I said, there were the other draft picks. Let's see, let me just get there was Sternberger, like I said, Kadar Homan's gotten some play time. Sternberger, he's on the field, but Robert Tonyan seems to be getting the most of the snaps as starting tight end outside of Mercedes Lewis. And then you had Dexter Williams, who, he's kind of like an afterthought now. And there was one more class, right? One more guy. Packers 2019 draft class. I feel like I'm missing a name. I don't know if I miss anybody. Yeah, Ty Summers. And Ty Summers, I want to say he might be hurt right now. And, it's not really looking like he might, it's not looking too good for him, because they drafted Kamal Martin, and he looks really good. And they brought in Kingsley, and they brought in Kirksey. And it's like the combination of Kirksey and Martin, I like that combination. So I'm not really sure what the future holds for Ty Summers. I mean, but it still is only his 2nd year. But the 3 main guys right now, man, if the Packers can get more production out of these dudes, I feel like they can be really, really good down the stretch. And this defense can start to play like we all think they can play. Right now, the Packers are about middle of the pack, middle of the, no pun intended. They're about like 11th or 12th or 13th and like across the board. But if Savage starts playing like a Pro Bowl level guy, and if Keke is that complement to Clark on the front line, getting more pressure, winning his one-on-ones, giving them someone else to think about instead of just double teaming, and maybe Clark and double teaming Zadarius, who are 2 of the most double team players in the NFL. If those dudes are going to keep being double teamed, you got to get more production out of the other people. And Lowry and Lancaster, they're sort of flash in the pan guys. They're not consistently dominant. If Keke is going to be consistent, and Gary, who got more playing time last week over Preston, is more consistent, then this defense, by the end of the year, I'll say, and they got 4 more games, but by the end of the year, I say they'll be a top 10 overall unit. and they'll be able to ride that momentum into the playoffs. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Green Bay can make it to the top 10 before the year is over? How are you feeling about Kiki and Savage and Gary? How did you feel then? And how do you feel now that it's seeming like they're coming into their own? Thank you for watching this video. And until next time, go Pack, go.